just beaten earlier today in Norman, so they dropped 3 in a row, and right now it's K-State atop the Big 12 by themselves. If K-State wins this game, they're all alone atop the conference. If Iowa State wins, we have a 4-way tie at 7-3. Iowa State with the first possession of the second half. Edgem with 2, good. 9 points for Edgem, who's hit 4 of 5 from the field, along with 4 rebounds.
Yeah, again, I like that nice little ball fake. Get the defender up in the air, one dribble, clear yourself, and a good mid-range pull-up. Force the issue trying to attack the glass when you've got multiple Kansas State defenders coming for the help.
Magruder puts up a 3. Gibson, who was saddled with 2 fouls in that first half, only played 4 minutes with the rebound, but the putback and the foul.
Now Bruce Weber going with Thomas Gibson to start the second half, and immediately gets rewarded with the big rebound by the big fella. Nice pass inside and the finish, and that's what offensive rebounds will do, and you cannot give Rodney Magruder opportunities that in a situation like that. But I tell you what, it's Thomas Gibson. He gets himself planted in there. I'm not sure who for Iowa State is going to be able to push him out of the way.
Well, on that play, Lucius picked up his 3rd foul, so he quickly goes to the bench. And Bubu Paolo is back in for the Cyclones. Clyburn scoreless in the first half, floats it up, and is called for the offensive foul. It's been a rough day for Clyburn, who had a game-high 24 points against K-State 2 weeks ago in Ames.
Now, great help defense by Kansas State. An isolation play. Watch Spradling come all the way from the other side. And I don't know if he was there before Clyburn elevated, but a good hustle by Spradling to get from the opposite side. And that is what Kansas State has done all afternoon, is rotation defense.
Gibson around Niang for the jam. Kansas State by 4. Southwell knocks down Paolo to pick up the foul. His first. Gibson's had a couple of these dunks today.
Well, who's going to keep him out of the lane? He takes the spot he wants, and George Niang gets driven up the lane. Nice clear out by Thomas Gibson. You got to get weak side help down underneath there. Can't guard him one-on-one in the post if he gets position.
Nice pass. Paolo finds an open Niang, who lays it in. 6 for Niang.
And the first time I think this game that the pick and roll has been open, the weak side help defense for Kansas State missed the assignment that time.
Gibson with the jump stop, but passes instead of shoots. Rodriguez will handle that. Edgem the rebound. Clyburn shoots an open 3, and there's his first bucket of the game. He missed his first 5 field goal attempts, and 3 of those were threes. And Clyburn's in the scoring column.
Back-to-back defensive breakdowns by Kansas State. Cannot do that against Iowa State because they are persistent. They are going to continue to attack. They got a short memory. They forget about the last play real quick.
Keeps possession. Shot clock is 7. Southwell connects. 8 for Southwell. Paolo got underneath it. It's deflected, but Babb is there, and now Edgem finds an open Niang. Rebounded off Edgem's leg. Ooh, they say that will stay with Iowa State.
Yeah, right when Iowa State's starting to go down, they get it going offensively. Little pick and roll, the dive there by Niang, and the weak side help Spradling. Not able to get over there.
Fans not happy. They thought that went off Niang last. It should be K-State ball. Clyburn had some trouble with the dribble. He's open in the corner, but travel first.
You know, the thing for Will Clyburn is, and I'm not picking on Kansas State at all, it's more the state of basketball right now. He's driving, and his defender's got his arm in him, shoving him away from the basket. And really the rule is supposed to be, if you affect the offensive players' rhythm, speed, balance, or quickness, it's a foul. And it goes both ways. I'm saying it happens on both sides. But it's so tough for an offensive player to be able to take the hit as he's dribbling and still be able to get to the basket. Same play there for Angel Rodriguez. He's getting hammered the whole time. And they wonder why college basketball scoring's down.
Well, edge him with the block there. You can get a 2-point game. I think a lot of coaches are echoing your sentiments, though.
Hey, when I played, if you breathed on a guy, you got a foul. That was too tight. But
it's gone the other way. Gibson, the rebound, going back up, is fouled. And Niang bumped in the face as well. May have just picked up the personal. He does, his second.
Thomas Gibson, just a big load inside, and I'm not sure if Bruce Weber out of the halftime said, look, let's try to get the big fellow the ball, or that's just the way it's worked out. But either way, it's a good strategy right now to get the ball inside to Gibson. If he can catch the ball in scoring position, it really puts Iowa State in a tough position, gets them in foul trouble.
Gibson sinks the first.
I mean, when you got Rodney McGruder on your team, I don't know if you come in and say, hey, let's try to get the ball to somebody else's hands. But you know, every once in a while, a little mixture is not a bad thing.
Both for Gibson.
I can guarantee you the game plan was never to get Chris Piper the ball. So.
Well, you had guys like Danny Manning around you.
Yeah, that's true.
Babs pass, Clyburn the floater, short. Gibson able to get the ball away from Spradling. That was an outlet almost stolen by Edgin, but it leaves a wide open Southwell.
And again, Gibson.
Spradling, his first shot of the game. He had not attempted a shot until that three. Timeout, Iowa State.
Now Thomas Gibson getting on the glass, doing things for him. And Kansas State coming up with a loose ball. Spradling hitting the shot. K-State 8-0 run right now.
Well, the best atmosphere here at Bramlage in recent years has been the game that KU comes to town, but we've got a pretty good atmosphere going here this afternoon, Chris Piper.
Yeah, sold-out house. They're fired up right now. Kansas State on a 8-0 run, knocking some shots down, swarming defense. That's when this place is so tough. Let's see if Iowa State can answer. They have every time so far.
Wildcats with backcourt pressure, but Paolo into the front court.
Now foul trouble for Iowa State. Corey Lucius, 10 points in the first half, sitting on the bench for Iowa State with 3 fouls right now.
McGee, there's the first bucket of the game for McGee on just his second field goal attempt.
And they need him. He's a guy that can put the ball down on the floor, can shoot it. He's got that deep range. You got to extend on him. Clyburn struggling offensively. Somebody else going to have to step up for Iowa State.
Back to Gibson on Niang. Short from about 10 feet out.
And that's all you can do if you're Niang. Make him shoot over the top.
5 minutes gone here in the second half. McGee clears a little space. He doesn't need much.
Now Melvin Edgin with that reverse pivot post-up pick, if that's legal, on the side. Kind of a move-in screen, but it was just enough to get McGee open.
Floated up and banked in by Rodriguez. Rodriguez nearing double digits. Niang somehow found Edgin, but he was on the baseline. 13th turnover for Iowa State. A great one going on in Manhattan. Well, what's on the line here in Manhattan is first place in the Big 12. K-State with a win here would have a one-game lead and sit atop the conference by themselves. If Iowa State wins, we have a 4-team logjam atop the Big 12 between Iowa State, K-State, Oklahoma State, and Kansas.
Checking in for Kansas State with 3.
ISU going smaller. They bring Lucius back in, and he replaces Niang.
Corey Lucius, 3 fouls. Going to have to be careful on the defensive end. Kansas State has nobody in foul trouble. Lucius, the only player on Iowa State with 3. Niang had 2 fouls early, hadn't had a foul since. For Iowa State.
Gibson got Edgem up in the air, and he hits the jumper, short jumper.
A big move by the big fella inside, getting Edgem up. Nice ball fake. Kansas State continues to go inside against that Cyclone defense.
Gibson averaging 8 per game, now has 11. McGee was scoreless through about the first 23 minutes of this game. Since then, he has put up 8 quick points.
Yeah, tough shot. Got to choose which screen he wanted to go off. But initially goes like he's going to go to the opposite side. Gets Spradlin just enough high that he's able to use that baseline screen. That's a tough shot, turning away from the basket. Momentum going away from the basket, getting back.
Haven't heard a lot from Magruder recently, though he does have a game-high 15 at this point. With the shot clock winding down, he's stripped by McGee. McGee, by the way, has scored Iowa State's last 8 points. Babb fires it down low. Edgem passes out of the double. Block underneath on Spradlin.
That's twice now Spradlin's tried to come over and take the charge after they've passed the ball.
It worked one time.
Yeah.
That time it did. He picks up his second.
Yeah, that was on Clyburn's drive earlier. He got that foul when he was driving.
Rodriguez and Johnson check in. Gibson get a rest. And Spradlin out as well.
Good 7 minutes by Gibson starting the second half in place of Jordan Enriquez.
And now Edgem and Johnson. A little pushing there. Edgem traveled. 14 Iowa State turnovers.
Just slid his pivot foot. Good rotation defense again by Kansas State coming over, shutting down the driving lane. Small lineup here by Iowa State. Edgem's a 5-man.
Rodriguez taking it to the hole, and Edgem able to get a hand on it, and then Southwell and Johnson came crashing in, and Johnson earns his first. Magruder with 15, Gibson with 11 for K-State. 1 in double figures right now for Iowa State. That's Lucius with 10. He brings the ball up here, but he's playing with 3 fouls. Edgem has 9, and McGee has a quick 8 here in the second half. McGee again.
How about that? I was just sitting there watching him come off that screen, kind of going away from the basket. And I was thinking, if he makes that shot, it was nothing but bottom.
McGee has scored Iowa State's last 11 points to tie it. It stays tied after that miss. An open look for Irving. He's kind of an unheralded three-point shooter, but he's not a bad one at all.
Oh, he's having a nice game for Kansas State off the bench.
Edgem says hello.
And as good as Kansas State is defensively, every once in a while, all of a sudden there's just a breakdown. We've seen it 3 times now here in the second half where great defense, it just goes out the door, and Iowa State's able to make a simple play on the offensive end.
Edgem and McGee now have 11 and Lucius with 10, so quickly it's 3 in double figures for the Cyclones. Irving can't get it to go that time, and Johnson just picked up his second. But Melvin Edgem with a highlight reel smash a moment ago.
No, you just can't get rid of Iowa State. They keep hanging around, finding a way to get to the lane. And here comes Melvin Edgem right at you. No help for Kansas State and Iowa State.
And Kansas, Fred Hoiberg's Iowa State Cyclones with a win would grab a share of the conference lead. K-State, though, with a win would be alone atop the conference.
I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched. I mean, they just can't separate, can they? It's the same exact game as up in Ames, Iowa a couple weeks ago.
Iowa State won that on their home floor, 73-67. McGee's been hot here in the second half.
Yeah, and Iowa State's looking to it as well.
Lucius, Babb was hot early. He hit his first 3 threes, but has missed his last 2, including that one.
Good idea that time by Angel Rodriguez. Didn't have anything in transition. Pushed it the previous time. Went against a set defense inside. Got nothing that time. Set it up and run it. See if Iowa State can charge you in the half court.
There's Gibson guarded by Edgem. Magruder from 17. 17 for Magruder.
And handoff with Gibson and Magruder is so tough to guard because after Gibson hands the ball off, he uses that wide body to deflect the defender going over the top. That gives Magruder just the space he needs to get the release.
Looked like a lob intended for Edgem, but he misread that one or was not on the same page as Lucius. Lucius does knock it out of bounds to stop a possible break, and it's still with K-State.
Well, the thing about Corey Lucius is you need to be prepared at all times to catch the ball because he sees openings that other people don't see, and he will try to get that, thread that thing through there. Edgem on the pick and roll kind of forgot that he was in the play.
Just over midway through this second half. K-State led by 1 at the half. Irving. Another 3 for Irving. He has 10 points.
Yeah, and he picks up where he's left off the last couple of games, averaging 10 points over the last 2. Now he's got 10 again here.
Babb hits a wall and then tried to pass to Niang, intercepted by Magruder. Rodney Magruder running the floor, cannot finish. Gibson an offensive rebound, and Magruder will pull it out.
Turnover's been the problem all afternoon for Iowa State. 10 in the first half, 5 already here in the second half.
After the handoff from Williams.
Now Magruder just does not need a lot of space. Again, the handoff by the big man and the seal. Tough to come over the top, and there it is. I like the way the big men did a little handoff from Magruder. When they hand it off to him, they kind of drop step, reverse pivot, use that backside of their body to almost a moving screen, but it's legal. And it's tough for Chris Babb to fight over the top of that.
Well, in the first meeting between these schools 2 weeks ago in Ames, Magruder didn't have a bad game. He was 6 of 11 from the field. He had 13 points playing all 40 minutes, but he's just about double that in this game with 20 points. Came in averaging a team-high 15, 6th best in the conference.
You know the thing I love about Rodney Magruder, and you're talking about the Iowa State game, he didn't have a bad game, but you didn't really realize he was out there as much in the second half. But that's the thing about Magruder. He doesn't, if he's not getting shots because somebody else is, like Gibson was getting shots early, he's not forcing the issue. He's letting the game come to him, and I love that stability that he provides for this Kansas State team.
Well, an 11-2 K-State run, and now Iowa State down by 9. Their largest deficit. McGee gets it to roll around and in.
I think Iowa State's got to continue to attack the paint on the bounce. Kansas State extending so much to the perimeter.
All 13 points for McGee have come here in the second half. Gibson on Niang, barrels in and traveled. KU lost earlier today in Norman. They've dropped 3 in a row. And right now it's Kansas State on top of the Big 12, pending the outcome of this game. They'll either have a 1-game tie. Iowa State trying to grab a share of the lead with a win here. McGee. Niang behind the back. Going to get Williams on the block.
All right, that's your 6'7" freshman center that he's playing right now. He's playing the 5 for Iowa State. Starting to initiate a handoff to his right, decides to go back behind his back to his left, able to get around the defender and then avoid the second help coming.
At Baylor and McLemore at Kansas and Smart at Oklahoma State. Niang in many ways has been overshadowed by these three that I just mentioned, but he's having a very nice true freshman year.
Yeah, you know, he's solid. He doesn't make mistakes. Now he's not going to win any athletic awards. He doesn't really jump on his jump shot, but he can dribble. He can put the ball down on the floor. He's steady. He's smart player.
Short with the second free throw, but who touched that? I'm going to give that one to K-State. There have been a lot of close calls on balls knocked out of bounds in this game. It would have been tough to tell. The officials even looked at one another before giving the ball to K-State there.
2-3 zone by Iowa State.
Steele didn't touch it, so it is out off K-State. It will be Iowa State ball when we come back with under 8 minutes to play in a 5-6-point game. Well, only about 20 miles from campus in Wamego, Kansas, is the Wizard of Oz Museum, one of the largest Wizard of Oz collections in the world. I've yet to make it by there. I need to plan on doing that on one of these trips. Well, ESPN's Journey to the Tourney is a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. And on Monday, it is the Sunflower Showdown. Rodney Magruder and K-State go to Allen Fieldhouse to take on Benton McLemore. And a team that's in a tailspin right now, 5th-ranked Kansas. K-State, KU, Monday at 9 on ESPN. KU won the first meeting here at Bramlage by 4, 59-55. But I think each team
no
is
place
feeling
like
a little
home,
different.
right? No place like home. The Oz, Kansas on home Monday night. See if they can change that tailspin. How about second chance points here in the second half by Kansas State? 14 on the glass. We talked about how well they do on the boards. Iowa State won the battle in the first half. Kansas State doing it here.
Rodriguez stripped Edgem after Edgem grabbed the rebound on his own miss. And Rodriguez sends it to the corner. Pull up Magruder. Kept alive by Southwell, who skied over a couple of Iowa State players to tip it out.
And again, another offensive rebound for Kansas State.
They add to that second chance point total here in the second half. Magruder, offensive. Barreled into Paolo, number 2 on Magruder.
Now, smart idea here by Magruder to get himself on the post. Gibson goes up high and ends up being the delivery man, but Magruder a little bit of a shoulder and a little acting by Ubu Paolo, taking that charge down there.
Lucius has been playing with 3 fouls for Iowa State. He was a big contributor early in the scoring column. That one short. Edgem had it, then it was tied up by Rodriguez. And the possession arrow. Good possession to Kansas State.
Melvin Edgem is just such a fantastic rebounder. Averaging 9.5 in Big 12, just goes up and gets it. Nice tie up there by Angel Rodriguez, but at 6'6", he's one of the best rebounders in the country for his size.
He's led the conference in rebounding a good portion of the year. Right now, second. Gibson gets the pass from Southwell to lay it in. 13 for Gibson.
Nice post up again by Gibson, getting Niang on the high side. Good recognition at the high post, the high-low action.
Southwell has Rodriguez with him. And Rodriguez finishes, and K-State by 10, their largest lead of the game. State will use a timeout. 30-second timeout.
Now, second half, the story offensively for Kansas State has been the big fella. Thomas Gibson. Watch his position inside. He gets Niang on the high side, just drives him up the lane. A little high-low action. You got to get weak side help defense, and then Kansas State has been in the passing lanes all afternoon. Turnover problems for Iowa State lead to transition buckets for Kansas State. And that is not a good recipe for Iowa State to get there. But Thomas Gibson, nice job here in the second half, exploiting that interior defense of Iowa State.
About doubled his scoring average per game.
He's doubled his touches, I think, in this game. And that's a nice recognition by Bruce Weber. And Fred Hoiberg's going to need to figure something out on him inside. Well, Iowa State has answered every Kansas State run. See if they can do it again.
Niang has 9 points. Rodriguez nearly lost it among a trio of Iowa State players.
You go in there, you're liable not to come back with an arm or something. I mean, everybody's reaching, going for that ball. Tough game in the paint.
Southwell. Bounced right out to Rodriguez, who takes it and hits it.
Rodriguez shooting 22% from 3 in Big 12 games.
McGee put it up. A Gibson rebound after the second attempt. And then Niang gets a tough foul there. His third. Just a little bump was enough to get the whistle. Clyburn and Babb back in for the Cyclones. McGee and Paolo come out. A tough day for Clyburn. 1 for 7 from the field. 3 points. He's turned it over 4 times.
Zone look here again by Iowa State. Got to know where Magruder's at on the floor. And the way Martavius Irving has been playing as well. You've got to spot him.
5 minutes to play. Gibson. And Niang with his 4th.
Thomas Gibson show here this afternoon, here in the second half. Look at a post up the position, just holds Niang behind him, battling with him.
I don't know what else Niang could have done there.
Yeah, the problem was when he caught it, the hit again. I mean, when your man catches him, you can bump him all you want, but once he gets the ball in his hands, now the spotlight's on you.
Niang stripped by Rodriguez, but Niang sliding gets it back. Babb launches. Loose ball. Rolls to Lucius. Lucius long with the 3. Didn't get his feet set there.
How about the hustle, though? How about those guys all diving on the floor? George Niang dove about 20 feet for that loose ball. Kansas State able to recover in that situation. Great effort by both teams.
Going right back to Gibson with Niang guarding. With Niang, 4 fouls.
You think they know they're battling for first in the Big 12 right now?
Irving just about came down with that. Shot clock at 2. Magruder. And it bounced over Babb to Irving. And right now, ball bouncing K-State's way.
Offensive rebounds. Kill you every time. Kansas State's had their way on the glass here in the second half, even though that was more of a loose ball.
Long Niang outlet. Given up to Clyburn, and Iowa State needed that 3 to pull within 11. 3:08 to go. Timeout. Iowa State. In Iowa State, if they can rally and win this game, will grab a share of first in the conference with 3 other teams. But right now, K-State has come out here in the second half. Gibson has been a presence. Magruder and K-State with a win would be all alone in first.
Well, Thomas Gibson's been fantastic here in the second half. He gets the start in place of Jordan Enriquez, and Bruce Weber's been throwing him the ball inside. K-State just doing a nice job here on the offensive glass, or boards as well. But you know, Kansas State's got a chance here to come out of this thing and in first place, Big 12, and the way they're playing, you can see the effort.
And they're in Lawrence on Monday for Big Monday on ESPN at 9 Eastern time. Then have Baylor and West Virginia here before going to Austin and having Texas Tech. Now, obviously, Monday is a huge matchup. Baylor, talent-wise, as good as any in the conference. Then they hit a stretch, West Virginia, Texas, Texas Tech, that at this point looks fairly favorable for K-State.
Well, I mean, you got to, that's the part of the schedule that you have to come out and do what you're supposed to do. If you look at it on paper, you look at it where they stand, yeah, they should win those games against Baylor at home and West Virginia at home. You go at Texas. Texas has been struggling. And Texas Tech, you know, the big story, can they get a win in Allen Fieldhouse Monday night? Obviously, that's probably one you're not counting on initially, but at this point, who knows with KU?
KU beat by Oklahoma earlier today at Lawrence, and Kansas has lost 3 in a row heading into the Big Monday showdown in Lawrence.
And this Kansas State team has been effective on the road. 5-1 on the season. Only loss was in Ames, Iowa against this Iowa State team. That was a 3-point game with a minute or so left. It's not able to close out.
Gibson, this time defended by Engine. Engine got a hand on it and saves it in the corner to McGee. McGee running the floor, going to the rim. He not only shoots threes, which he's most known for, but he can certainly drive it to the hoop.
Yeah, I love him attacking the glass in that situation. Go get the easy bucket if you can. Try to get fouled, stop the clock, get the points. But so many teams will bail out in that kind of situation and end up shooting a three. And instead, Tyrus McGee, good recognition, attacking the glass. And he has been fantastic here in the second half.
He was scoreless at the break.
Well, you know, he's instant offense off the bench. They come off the dribble, hand off, curling it. That's a tough shot at him, a baseline screen fading away. And that's the one I remember sitting here watching thinking, if that kid makes that shot, you know he's on, because he came off moving away from the basket. Great energy, though, from McGee here in the second half, and he has been huge. Look at that, 15 points in the second half. Only had 1 attempt in the first half.
Returning from Kansas State, number 13, Rodriguez.
After the K-State timeout. Each team with just 1 timeout remaining and 2.5 minutes to go. Iowa State to pressure full court. Knocked out by Lucius. So we come to a timeout. It's been emotional here in Manhattan, Kansas, as their fans are sniffing first place to themselves in the Big 12. And they're up 71-62. ESPN College Basketball is available live anytime, anywhere on your computer, tablet, or smartphone at WatchESPN.com and with the Watch ESPN app. Here in Manhattan, Kansas, 2:28 to go. Kansas State ball out of the timeout. And the Wildcats by 9, and a quick foul from Lucius, who's been playing a good portion of this second half with 3 fouls, and there's number 4. It's the 16 foul, so still had a foul to give if they're going to start putting K-State at the line here.
Yeah, I don't want to see Corey Lucius foul out, though, for Iowa State. They need him handling the ball.
Rodriguez fouled, so that's the 17th foul. K-State at the line for a 1-and-1.
And that is not what Fred Hoiberg was wanting in that situation. He wanted the other foul to get him in a one-on-one position, but not one where you put him on the line there. You're looking for defensive stops right now.
Foul on Edgin, who, by the way, is a double-double today. 11 points, 10 rebounds, his 16th career double-double, the active leader in the conference.
Foul, you generally don't want to foul the 80% shooter as well.
No. Rodriguez swishes the front end. Well, the knock on Rodriguez is that he needed to improve decision-making, especially in crunch time coming into the season. You look at his assist-to-turnover ratio, and it's the best in the Big 12. He's certainly picked it up.
And he had a stretch that he was absolutely phenomenal. He's had 3 turnovers here tonight, but for the most part, he has really done a nice job.
Clyburn for the moving screen. His 3rd foul. The 20th turnover for Iowa State.
Yeah, back-to-back mental errors there. That's 10 turnovers in the first half, 10 turnovers now in the second half. And those are the mistakes that cost you on the road.
The most turnovers for Iowa State in the game this year was their first game, 21 against Southern. They made better that today with 20. Wildcats content to eat some clock with under 2 minutes to go.
This situation for Iowa State with the guys they have on the floor switch everything.
Scrambling. Put up. Long from Edgin. Loose ball. McGee gets to it. Lucius a 3. Good. And Iowa State will use their final timeout. 1:31 to play. Kansas State 20 from Magruder. He right now is the game high scorer. 7 of 13 shooting, and he has hit 3 threes in this game for the Wildcats.
Well, he's been phenomenal. I mean, he never stops moving. Watch his movement. Gets initial pick on the first side, gets Thomas Gibson pick on the second side. This game I've seen him put the ball down on the floor more than I did last time against Iowa State, but he's so smart at using screens, the handoff from the big man, the quick release trigger. And Chris Babb has been with them the entire night, but Rodney Magruder just does not stop. And 20 points here, big afternoon for Magruder.
Hey, you see his numbers under the radar is the fact that he has 5 assists in this game.
Yep. Well, hey, the best passer on the team could generally be the guy that everybody's worried about scoring because everybody's shadowing him, shading him. You bring somebody out, make a pass to the guy that's open. Yeah, he just does so many things so hard. You know, that's what I love about him. He's not. I've seen him in games where he scores 10 and he's perfectly content because that's just the way it was. And I think he does a lot of things. I mean, he's being asked to defend out there, handle the ball. He just doesn't know.
I mentioned how Nia has been overshadowed by the other freshmen in the conference, and Magruder may be overshadowed as far as player of the year in the Big 12 with what Pierre Jackson's doing at Baylor and McLemore and Smart and some others, but Magruder's having the type of season that they expected.
Player of the year should be the guy that leads his team to the most victories. I mean, that's the most important guy, right?
And
that's what Kansas State is doing.
Exactly what I was just going to get to. Right now, K-State is a minute 25 away from sole possession of first place in the Big 12. They have not won a conference regular season title since it was the Big 8 back in 1977, 36 years ago.
A lot of season left. This is the first game over the halfway mark in the conference race right now. So what, there's a lot of games to be played, and it is wide open, absolutely wide open.
And that proves it right there.
West Virginia's got a chance to claw back in the mix.
They're playing better basketball. Angel hits both. K-State in the second half, 8 of 8 from the line as a team. swish. Lucius, his 4th 3 of the game. He has 16.
State trying to face guard.
Iowa State needs to stop the clock.
That's the guy that they had to get was Southwell. Let him get by.
Yeah, you saw Edgem look to the bench as if, is this the guy we want to foul? By the time you heard from Fred Hoiberg, Southwell had given it up.
Now, Martavius Irving's not a bad guy to foul, too, in this lineup. He's 4 for 6 on the season. So, you know, even though he's a good shooter, a lot of times when you don't have a lot of touches at the free throw line, that confidence isn't quite there.
He has shot 2 today.
Corey Lucius was wrapped up with Martavius Irving. I thought the official called that foul because he was right standing in front of him, but he had his eyes on the ball.
That free throw gives Rodriguez a new career high. 19 points. K-State staying perfect at the line here in the second half. Lucius. Magruder pulls it down. And Kansas State, as I say that, Babb can't quite come up with possession for Iowa State. It stays with the, it does stay with the Wildcats. Babb did foul Magruder to stop it with just under 30 seconds.
Well, here's what's strange. At Kansas, at Iowa State, Iowa State was able to win playing Kansas State tempo. And here at K-State, K-State's able to win playing an Iowa State tempo. So,
well, Fred Hoiberg told us that earlier today, Chris. He said, hey, K-State here at home does have a tendency to play faster and pressure more, and that certainly has happened here today.
Yeah, they were all out in the lanes. It took Iowa State a little time to be able to start attacking on the drive, getting the ball screen and the roll through the lane, getting some guys cutting down the middle, but got to give credit to Kansas State's defense. It's been phenomenal. Turnover problem is really the issue for Iowa State when it all comes down to it.
Wildcats 12 of 12 from the line in the second half. LSU and Alabama coming up from Tuscaloosa when we're finished. Clyburn, he's had a tough day today. Putback does fall for Edgem. 9-point game with 22 to play. Kansas State alone atop the Big 12 as they beat Iowa State by 9 today.
Final score.
Big Monday in Lawrence. It will be the Wildcats leading the Big 12 and not the Jayhawks.
Well, great win by Kansas State. Look at this, all of a sudden setting atop the Big 12 standings. Fantastic defensive effort by the Wildcats, and they're able to take care of the ball in the second half, get it in the right guy's hands.
Once again, our final score, K-State 79, Iowa State 70. For Chris Piper and our entire crew, I'm Mark Neely. Don't forget, stick around. LSU and Alabama is coming up next here on ESPN2. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now let's send you to Tuscaloosa with Mark Jones and Jimmy Dykes.